Boys, gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, baby. Gentlemen, what we're speaking about in this video is going to be the importance of why you need to actually systemize your life and your trading, and the importance it really plays into really everything. I'm gonna give you guys some examples that I've learned in real life, both inside my trading, inside of business, and the correlation it played directly to my life when I started to realize certain things, whether that was me like working at a certain place or something like that. So let's get into it, man. So the best way I like to think of these systems and why in the first place is, guys, what's the purpose of a system, right? The purpose of a system is to basically have something that is functional, right? And so what I like to think of is like something that consistently deliver you results, something that's kind of reliable, predictable, building a system that can basically run on its own and that's effective, that's organized, all those kind of things. And that's why systems are so important. So the example that I learned is in real life, when I was working at car dealerships, okay, in these kinds of businesses, really in any business where you have leads, even running my own coaching business, for example, things along those lines, you have something called a CRM system, which is usually a customer relations management system. And you use these systems to track leads, okay, incoming leads, cold leads, warm leads, hot leads, responses, all this kind of stuff. So basically that money and these leads don't go slipping through the crack, right? And so that the business can function effectively, smoothly, right? These CRM systems are meant for things to be organized. They're meant for no money to go missing, all those kinds of things, right? And so what I always like to say is you need to have these same kind of processes that are set up in businesses in your own life, right? So where did I see this for the first time in hand was working at a car dealership where, I worked at Mercedes and BMW. And so these are really expensive cars, bro. Like, you got to think about it this way. One lead that could go missing, essentially because somebody couldn't keep track of it, or, somebody got too busy, that could be like $100,000 car. And so this actually happened to me. There's typically a bucket in one of these systems, there's typically like a lost bucket, which means like a lost opportunity or something like that, or just like a gray bucket, where essentially these leads are no longer like hot or active, but these leads are still people. So I remember, I was just bored one day, like didn't have that much going on. So I'm going through this list and just calling people to see if they still need a car. And I read this account on the notes and I just dial them up, right? And it turns out that they end up never actually getting taken care of. And that this person was looking for a $120,000 car. It was like a brand new GLE 63, which we didn't have, but we had like a 53 with really nice interior. Went out there, sent them a video, things along those lines, right? And so that's why it's so important, because, dude, there's like, imagine that one lead could cost the entire company, or in this facility in specific, 120 grand, right? And so now with that, then in my own coaching business, selling high ticket, 3 grand, 5 grand, 6 grand, imagine that, bro. That's a lot of money that you're missing out. And that's why these systems are so important, because they organize things. They make sure that this money doesn't go fucking missing for yourself, right? And in your business, and it just allows it to flourish on top of all the other added benefit, right? But now the way this correlates to your trading and to your life is you have to think to yourself, right? In business, if there's systems to allow this shit to flourish and to have nothing slip through your life, what do you have in your own life that doesn't allow for your own life to slip, bro? And so what I always like to think of, the best examples are like the gym, a workout plan, a diet plan, your routines. What are those? Those are systems, bro. Those are literally like things that allow for you to optimize your life. You know exactly what you're doing when you go to the gym on Monday, Tuesday, like the plan, right? You know exactly what you're doing as far as eating goes, to keep track of your calories. Like, what are those things? They're basically CRM systems, or like it's basically just the systems for your life, so that you can flourish, so that you can track, so that things stay more organized. And now, how does this tie all together into trading? It ties all together into trading, because this is how you're also going to optimize your trading, is by having your fucking trading plan, your trading system, right? And what I always like to say, I say this in every video pretty much, bro. If you can master discipline and cultivate that in one area of your life, it'll transfer into another. And so this is why systems, if you can literally just do this around your whole life, it's going to transfer into your trading, man. Build discipline outside of the gym, outside of trading, sorry, and it'll transfer into your trading, because you'll be able to see the differences. What happens when you go from not tracking your calories, from not tracking your workouts, you know, not even having a fucking plan when you show up to the gym, to having it. You start to excel in these areas. Like, same with the business, right? What happens when you have no fucking CRM system? Least go lost, making less money, right? And so now with trading, it's like, you don't have a trading plan. You're kind of just eyeing things, going here, not really have no system put together. But when you can have a good system that you follow, a checklist, you know, confirmations before you enter a trade. What are you looking for? You know, how many days out of the week do you trade? What do you not trade on certain days? You know, how much are you risking? Like, when you can have those kinds of systems and plans put together, it's basically taking the systematic approach to your trading, whether that's, you know, having a different system for your personal account, you know, having a different system for a prop firm account. But you can see these things are so important because they allow for it all to be like organized and just flourish in many different ways. Now, the only bad thing about this, right, is with these systems, man, you have to make sure that you have a good system. Because if you don't have a good system, then you're just going to inflict bad habits. And bad habits, or essentially, imagine doing something bad over and over and over again. You're just training yourself to do something bad consistently. And that's worse than fucking, you know, pretty much anything else, is doing the same mistake, or if not, just like the worst stuff over and over again. You always want to be doing the good stuff over. That's how you actually progress, right? And so that's the only importance here, is when putting these systems together, you know, your trading plan, your trading journal, again, this is all part of your system, right? Is you need to make sure that you have good systems. And honestly, bro, systems are what build the world. Systems are what build really good entrepreneurs. Like, think of any kind of high-level trader, high-level entrepreneur. What is it they have? A very systematic way of trading, a very systematic way of their business working, and that's what allows for them to make a bunch of profit, right? And then essentially, if you think about it, teach other people. They just literally copy that same system that allows them to flourish, and they teach someone else the same exact system. Same goes with like business and stuff. Shameless plug, right? If you want to learn the systems that I use, the systems that allowed me to actually go from being completely fucking unprofitable to profitable, getting funded accounts and payouts, you can DM me VCT on Instagram. But those are the kinds of things that are gonna allow for your life to flourish and actually improve, bro. Because now, like, if you, let's just think about the other side of things, right? Say you don't have any systems, right? In business, in your own life. And I've had this happen many times in my life, really before I started getting consistent in the gym, about 5 years ago. You guys can go on my Instagram, look at my story, highlighted stories. There's like a 90-day blitz tab. Before I really started that, I was kind of just floating in my life. No systems, no real approach. Again, just like nothing was systematic, no routines. And what did that lead to? Absolutely zero results. Absolutely leading to the worst times of my life, where like not going anywhere and things are just going downhill. You know, drinking, fucking just playing video games all night. I was in college, like just bullshit, like complete bullshit of a life back then, because I didn't have any kinds of things keeping me in check, bro. And this is why I like to give you guys these examples of in the business, you know, in the gym, and then correlate them to your trading, so you guys can see how they actually work with everything, and just seeing the different perspectives. And then maybe that will help you realize, like, oh shit, you know, I do need a systematic approach here. And that's what's going to make me be able to consistently follow my system. And that's the other thing. These systems, bro, you have to make sure that these systems, and this is the really good thing about this all, is these systems, right, the more organized they make it, basically all of the added benefit that comes with having a system, right, leads to more results. And I always say this, the more you're winning, the easier it is to keep going, right? Because you're able to like catch all this momentum. Now, what happens when you don't have systems and you're not seeing results and things are unorganized? Basically, all of the byproducts of not having a system, it's really hard. Like, when are things hard? When things aren't going your way at all. And so it's like, how long do you want to not have a systematic way of doing all these things? How long can you stay in the fucking gutters? Like, that's when things are the hardest, right? And this is why I say the systems are so important, because they allow for you to have those different approaches, actually see results, and then you know, continue to stack on that, and then who knows where you end up going. As opposed to like my life before, as I was saying, where you got no systematic approach, nothing's going on for you, you're just in the slums. You know, you're maybe trying things, but because again you don't have that systematic approach, nothing's going anywhere, and so of course you're going to give up, of course you're going to quit, of course, you know, when you're not seeing results for a long enough time, like, it gets really hard to keep going, right? But that's when it matters the most for you to continue. But if you just continue doing, again, the bad shit, even if you have a bad system, nothing's going to change. And so ultimately, this is what change happened for me. Like, you have to change something. You always have to figure out where's the leak essentially in the system by changing your life, and then you figure out the gears that are turning, and then all of a sudden you start to see results, and you're like, this is a good system, it's starting to work, right? But you want to get out of that losing period. I mean, realistically, as fast as possible. There's always going to be a losing period, no matter really what you're going through, but the best way to get out of that is just copy good systems. You know, think about it again with the gym, with the business, and you'll see things flourish. It's really simple. So boys, hopefully you guys took something valuable from this video and understanding the importance of having a systematic approach, bro, not only in your trading, but in your life, and the way it can change everything for you. As always, love you boys, and I will see you in the next video.